Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of What If Dale Horvath Survived in The Walking Dead. So let's get into it. The group arrived to the house they originally did in season 2. They all get the supplies much faster since Andrea's still with the group and Andrea's alive and Jimmy's still alive. So is Randall and so is Dale. Plus, we still have Shane alive. That means the group would go much faster in clearing out everything in the house. And when the walkers arrive, the group still has to go. Just because they have five more people alive doesn't mean that they can take down all the walkers. There were quite a bunch. And anyways, everyone is still on the road while Rick and Daryl go to look for stuff. Rick and Daryl still find the prison and they go to the group and they inform them of the prison and they say that this can be a pretty good spot for them to call home. The group agree and they all decide to go to the prison. Dale would be on the watchtowers and he'd be with his rifle over there and he'd be killing some of the walkers while the others are down there. And the people who were on the watchtowers as well, they'd still stay there. But since there's way many more people, they can clear out the whole prison, not just the front yard for now. They can clear out a cell block right now. And the group go to the cafeteria and they find a couple of people there. Find Tomas, Andrew, and they find Axel, and they find Big Tiny, and basically they find all the prisoners and Oscar. So the group is much more humane because of Dale. And Tomas and the other prisoners, they don't really know about the Apocalypse World yet. And since Dale is a kind-hearted man, and Tomas wouldn't really care, and he'd tell Dale to shut up, because we all know how Tomas was. And I feel like Randall would back up Dale, because we all know that Dale wanted Randall. Dale basically saved Randall's life many times in season 2. The other prisoners Big Tiny, Axel, and Oscar are being nice, but after that, Tomas fires a bullet, but he misses. And that's enough for Daryl, and he shoots Tomas in the head with his crossbow, whatever you want to call it. Andrew rushes towards Daryl, but is quickly taken out by Shane. Shane looks towards the other 3 prisoners, but he sees that Axel and Oscar and what was his name? Big Tiny. They all seem friendly because they haven't tried anything. The other 3 prisoners ask if they can join their group. The group agrees, but they said you guys have to stay a bit further away from them. There still has to be a bit further away because they don't trust them just yet, and which the 3 prisoners understand. Okay guys, if you're wondering why I haven't said anything about Michonne in this series, because since Dale survived, I assume Andrea would be with Dale and she'd stay with the group, and that means I'm gonna make Michonne become a savior again. And since there's no more Andrew, that means no one's gonna be putting hearts around everywhere, letting the walkers out. That means T-Dog and Lori survive here. That means baby Judith is born with no problem, because Herschel's still around in the group, and Herschel is basically like a doctor. So baby Judith is born with no problem. He and Glenn would still try to go get the baby formula, but they'd still meet someone and it'd be Merle. they'd meet Merle still. Merle would probably looking for Daryl because he knows that Daryl can survive pretty easily. Since Dale is still around in the group, that means the group is much more humane. But that doesn't mean that they're gonna let Merle come in their group. Merle is not too happy when he hears this, and he kidnaps Maggie and Glenn like he did in the original, and he brings them to Woodbury. And the second Merle takes Glenn and Maggie to Woodbury, the first thing Merle is going to do is he's obviously thinking first, but then he's like, yeah, it's pretty obvious what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask the governor what to do. Merle goes to the governor and asks he tells him about what he got Maggie and Glenn. The governor says, get all the info out of them as you can so you can get your brother out, so you can finally get your brother back. Merle says he was thinking about that as well, and then he tortures Glenn and he tortures Maggie as well. He doesn't really torture Maggie, he just mostly makes her upset with some words. He doesn't torture her like he did to Glenn. And meanwhile that's happening, the scene shifts to the prison. The group is discussing if Axel, Oscar, and Big Tiny should be a part of the group or not. It's the next day. The group notice why Glenn and Maggie have not come back yet. They decide to go out to look for them. They make a group of their team. Who is going to go look for Glenn and Maggie? Well, there's going to be more than 4 people this time. Who's going? Daryl's going, and Oscar's going, plus Rick's gonna be going as well because he's the group leader, and Jimmy's gonna be going as well, and the last person is Shane. They all travel and they're looking for any signs of Glenn and Maggie, and that's until they see their car, and they see the keys and they see that Glenn and Maggie's car isn't at the place where you're supposed to get baby formula at, and they see some tracks of the car and they follow them, and they eventually at nighttime they find Woodbury. And how do the group know that Glenn and Maggie are at Woodbury? They saw their car inside Woodbury. An all-out war happens. Everything is basically collapsing and stuff. And they Shane and Jimmy find where Glenn and Maggie are being where they've been, staying. They take Glenn and Maggie with them, and after that, we see Daryl and Merle see each other. Both just look at each other. And Daryl finally says something, and he tells Merle he can change and he can stay and he can be a part of their group and not be a part of this group, because Daryl knows that Merle was probably looking for him. That's how he found Glenn and Maggie. Merle takes a moment to take this all in and realize Daryl's right, and he shoots one of the governor's men straight in the head. And everyone in Woodbury is begging for mercy from Rick's group and Rick himself. And now Rick looks at his group and he looks at the governor. He asks them if they should end it or they should keep him. And Martinez and Milton even agree that they should kill the governor because they know how he is. They're like the closest people to the governor. They know that the governor is wrong. The group agrees as well, so Rick looks at the governor straight in the eyes, and Rick ends up shooting the governor straight in the head. and the governor falls to the ground. Rick's group at the prison, they arrive to Woodbury because they came looking for Rick and the others because they haven't came back for a while. And they see that Tyrese, Alan, Ben, and Sasha are with them. Who are Axel, Big Tiny, and Axel and Big Tiny. Decides it's best for the group that they stay at Woodbury, and Rick becomes the leader of Woodbury. For today, I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye-bye.